Now we will see what do we evaluate in post-implementation review. We evaluate three things: development evaluation, operational evaluation, and information evaluation. For this question, you need to remember what questions you are going to ask in this typical evaluation. In development evaluation, you will ask whether the system was developed within budget and on schedule. But to compare it with the budget and schedule, we need to provide the budget and schedule before we start developing it so that we can compare it with the actual results. So we will also see whether it was on record in advance. So in development evaluation, we will see only whether it was developed in budget and budget developed on schedule. After that, in operational evaluation, we will see whether the hardware and software are working as per requirement. Now, how to verify whether they are working as per requirement? We saw that there is a objective selection criteria or evaluation criteria. We will see whether this criteria was established in advance, whether it is given on the record in advance. We will compare their criteria with the working conditions and we will see whether it is operationally efficient or not. So in the operational evaluation, we will have the evaluation criteria established in advance. Then information evaluation. Here, the system is supposed to give you information that will help you in decision making. If it is not giving you qualitative information, if it is only giving quantitative information, then we will say that we didn't achieve the quality objective of the system. So more quality data, it is said to be a more efficient system. So three types of evaluation in post-implementation review: development evaluation, operational evaluation, and information evaluation. After this review, we must be able to answer two questions. Did we achieve what we set out to do? And what is the degree of success? Did we achieve all the objectives 100% or only some of the objectives or the majority of the objectives? Now, this review is not done immediately after we develop the system and implement it. It is done after some time. It can be after 6 weeks to 6 months, depending on the solution. Now, let's continue with system testing. We have developed the system. Now we will do testing. Now, what is the definition of system? We saw in chapter number 2, information system concepts. What do you mean by system?
Four components. It consists of hardware and software connected with each other to provide useful information, something of that sort.
Okay. Once again, what is system? Small components working together to achieve the organization's objective. It includes input, output, processing, storage as components, and hardware, software, data network as steps in IS model. So now what we will do, we will test this system one by one, unit by unit. We will verify each and every component in the system, whether it is working or not, whether it is required or not, and whether we achieve what we set out to do or not. So we will do that in system testing. Now we will start with the smallest unit of the system. We will call it as unit testing. Okay, now we are verifying small components of system. What is unit testing? It is the smallest testable part of application. For example, you must have a Swiggy app or a Passos app or a Domino's app. Now what you will test is whether you are able to place an order or not, whether the order is being communicated to the respective restaurant or not. If it is done, that will be 1 unit. Then other unit will be, is it allowing you to make online payment, whether authorization procedures are done. Then if the customer wants to cancel an order, what are the procedures. Then when the delivery is done, whether the confirmation is given or not. So we will divide the entire application into small components, and we will start testing those components or units. Programmer will verify whether it is fit for use. Each and every unit, he will verify whether it is fit for use. What is the goal here is to isolate each component and then correct it. So in the name itself, we can understand what is unit testing. Now, here we have categories of unit testing. What does unit testing mean? We will isolate one component and we will do these tests: functional test, performance test, stress test, structural test, and parallel test. Now, first one is functional test. It is similar to operational evaluation. We will see whether the system is working as per requirement or not. Okay, that is only thing what you have to do in functional testing. Then performance test. We will see what is the response time of the system. If I give an order to print out 10-page document, does the system overload for a minute, or does the printout starts executing immediately, or does it take some time? That is the response time. And execution time. If the speed of printing is 3 seconds per page, then whether that is being achieved or not, that is the execution time that we will verify. And then the traffic rates. If the printer has a pooling software, how it is arranging the orders, whether it is executing using pooling method or contention method, that we will also see, and we will see whether it is affecting the performance or not. Yes, sir. What is the pooling method and contention method? Where did we see these methods?
Chapter 3, output controls.
Yes, output control or communication control?
Communication control, sir.
Communication control.
In communication control, we had channel access control. In that, we had pooling method and contention method. So for traffic rates, you can remember that. So by doing that, we will test the performance, or what is the time required, and what is the response time and execution time. Then stress testing. Now we will give the system some operations to do, and purposefully what we will do is we will try to overload the system. Means if the system has a RAM of 1 GB, what we will do is we will try to play a file of 1.5 GB, then 2 GB, then 2.5 GB, then 3 GB, to see whether the system is able to handle the pressure beyond its capabilities. So that is what is stress testing. We are testing beyond normal capacity to understand the limitations of the system. If it is working perfectly, then it is good. If it is not working perfectly, what we will do is we will specify it in the module that please don't increase the load of this operation by this much. So that is stress testing. Tell me, there is a characteristic of a good coded program which is similar to stress testing. What is the characteristic? We are giving the person operations more than its capabilities to see whether the person can handle those situations or not. Okay, it is called robustness. Robustness. So for stress testing, what we are verifying actually is whether the system is robust or not. Then structural tests. Here we will examine the internal processing logic. Okay, this is also called as white box testing. What we will do is we will give the system some operations to do. We will verify its arithmetic logic unit, whether a 2 plus 2, the processing answer is 4. If it is coming 5, then we will say that the system has failed the structural test. There is some problem in the internal processing logic. Then parallel test. What is parallel test? We will compare the output of the old system with the new system, whether it is able to process the input in the same manner or not, or there are any changes. Okay. Now tell me, which CAD tool does parallel testing or parallel evaluation of processing? Okay, tell me what are the CAD tools? Name of the 5 CAD tools.
Car, then ITF,
Snapshot,
snapshot, yeah.
CIS, audit hook.
Okay, snapshot, SCAR, integrated test facility, continuous and intermittent solution, and simulation, and audit hooks. Yes, did we leave anyone? Where do we introduce a dummy?
That is also with one scar tool with eyes, sir. I forgot that. That is what I'm thinking.
Yes, where do we introduce a dummy?
ITF.
ITF. Where does the auditor get a message when there is a suspicious change in the policy?
Audit hook.
Audit hook.
Very good.
Then
Very
we will
good.
collect the images before and after the processing of transaction.
Snapshot. Snapshot.
We also have data collection capability. We will take photos and we will store those photos because we have data collection capability.
Scan. It's a combination of snapshot and data.
And
Snapshot and
And I don't know the other one.
snapshot plus data collection capability is equal to
what
SCAR.
is that software, sir? Scar. Okay, embedded tool. Okay.
And now the last one, that is CIS. In CIS, what do? Is we will enter some data into the system to verify whether it is processing correctly or not. For example, we will give the input as
Hello.
yes. Yes, do you have a question or should I continue? Okay, why I am taking again and again references from other chapters is this is how you are supposed to study. Once you finish a chapter, whenever there is a one wording that triggers something in the earlier chapters, link it. I'm telling you, it is the best way of learning history. So in parallel testing, what we will do is we will see the processing of the old system and we will also see the processing of the new system. We will tell the old system to do processing of 2 multiplied by 4 and also the new system, and then we will compare the output. If the answer is 8 in both the cases, that means the system has passed the parallel testing. It is just like CIS. What do we do in CIS? In continuous and intermittent simulation, we will verify the processing of the system with our system. If there is any deviation in the processing, we will maintain an exception report. In that, or the log of all the deviations will be maintained. Just like that, we will do it parallel testing, comparing the output by putting in the same input. Okay. So we will do 6 testing. sorry, 5 testing: functional, performance, stress, structural, parallel. Earlier, we saw unit testing. These are the categories of test. Okay, these are the categories of unit testing. Now let's see the classification of unit testing. In that, first is static testing. It is conducted on source programs. What we will do is, we will open the coding manual and we will start checking the code that was entered into the system. This is something a programmer or a system developer can do. This is not something that an auditor can do. Auditor will need some technical skills to do this static testing. Now, first one is desk check. What is a desk check? In this, the programmer himself will verify the code whether there are any errors or not. That is desk check. For example, you can remember there is a file on the desktop. You are going to verify whether the file is working on the desktop or not. Or you can say that a junior in your firm, a junior in CA firm is verifying whether the work is done correctly or not. That is desk check. Okay, it is the first initial check. Then structured walkthrough. This is done by the system developer. Now what we will do is, the system developer will walk through the programmer through all the stages of the life cycle and whether there are any errors in the entire life cycle. So that is what we will call as structured walkthrough. Why we are doing this? Again, to uncover the errors. Here you can remember that now the work of the junior is being reviewed by the senior in structured walkthrough. And then code inspection. Here the code inspection will be done by a formal committee. There will be dedicated checklists. We will see whether all the parameters have been met or not, whether the errors are there in the program or not, whether the compiler line by line had verified everything and there were no errors as an output. So this formal committee will look at the work of system developer and programmer and see whether there are any errors in the system or not. Here you can remember that a partner is reviewing the work of the senior and junior in code inspection. So desk check, structured walkthrough and code inspection, junior, senior and partner. What we are verifying in all the 3 points is, we are just seeing whether there are any errors in the coding of the program. So that is what is static testing. Now let's see what is dynamic analysis testing. We have now seen the coding. Now we will see the processing, or we can see whether the operations are executed in a correct manner or not. First one is black box testing. Black box testing. Now this is a type of external evaluation. What we will do is, we will input some data into the system and we will verify the output, whether it is correctly executed or not. Again, what we will do is, we will give the information for processing such as 2 plus 2 or 4 into 8, something like this, and we will verify the output whether it is correct or not. So that is what is black box testing. Then white box. This is an internal evaluation. Okay, if you want to do white box, you need technical skills of verifying the processing logic. Here we will again see the code of processing. So you can say that static testing, structural testing, these will come under white box. Here remember, we are seeing whether the logic is correct. Here we are not seeing whether there are errors in the system in white box testing. Then gray box testing. In gray box testing, we will do black box testing for some part and white box testing for some part. We will do white box only for limited cases, and for the remaining cases, we will do black box. So this depends upon the tester, whether he wants to do gray box or white box or black box. So black box, external evaluation, white box, internal evaluation, and gray box is combination of white box and black box.
Sir, can you please explain black box again, sir?
White box,
No, black box.
black box. See, we have entered the arithmetic logic unit into the system, means we have it from the earlier time also. What we will do is, we will verify the application software called calculator. In that calculator, we will enter operation or calculate what is 3 divided by 17 or 80 divided by 4. This is the input data. Now, whatever is the solution, we will verify the solution whether it is correct or not. So that is, we are evaluating the output. So we are just checking whether the processing is being done correctly or not, but in an external manner. We are not opening the coding of the calculator and verifying the processing logic. We are just giving it some input and verifying the output. That is what we do in black box testing. One more example. We will print out a 50-page document, where if it is coming correctly, then we will give an order that all the PCs should disconnect from the server, or should all of them should connect with the server, or whether whether the pooling or the contention is done correctly or not. So any kind of operations, whether the processing is done correctly or not, we will verify in black box just by comparing the input and output, or output of new system with the old system.
So is there any difference between structural test and black box testing, sir?
No, there is no comparison between structural test and black box testing. Here in a structural testing, what we are doing is, you can see that structural testing is like white box, but it is nothing like black box, because in structural testing we are again opening the coding of the system and then verifying whether there are any errors or not, and whether there is any problem with the logic or not. Okay. See, if you look at a code of a program, there are layers and layers and layers. So seeing those layers, you can understand why they are saying it is a structural test. If those layers are not done correctly, the program will not work. So instead of saying layer testing, they have said as structural test. So we will not open the code in black box. We will just verify the processing from outside. Tell me, have you ever opened up a calculator and verified the processing? Can you do that?
No, sir.
So we can only do black box testing. So it depends whether the customer has those facilities or not, or whether the auditor has the skills or not. If it doesn't have the skills, if he can't open the system, he will only do black box testing. But if the customer or the client has provisions where the auditor can easily open up the system, verify the logic, even he has the skills and the equipments, in that case he will do white box testing. So structural testing you can compare with white box testing, but it doesn't include black box testing at all. Okay, have you understood? Shall we continue?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now integration testing. Now in chapter number 1, we were again and again talking about integration of IT governance with the corporate governance, then IT system planning with the business planning. So what is integration?
Integrating into the system in the sense uh, uh, putting the new process into the system.
See, we have a lot of functions. We have a planning function, risk management, assurance activities, compliance review, and other activities. So what we need to ensure is the procedure includes all these aspects. It should not be the case that we have procedures differently for each and every function. We will have one business process, but it will have all these 5 aspects of all these functions. So you are not combining everything, you are integrating everything. If you just combine everything, the volume will become 5 times. Okay, when you integrate, the volume is reduced. Okay, your workload must not increase when you combine all these functions, it must reduce. So that is what is integration testing. What we will do is, we will combine all the modules and do the testing. Whether there are any redundant procedures, whether there are any duplicate procedures and all. So we will do that in integration testing. Till now, we were not doing integration testing anywhere. We were not thinking about business processes and all. When this integration testing is done, we are doing it after unit testing. We are doing it after unit testing, but before system testing. We have still not started doing the system testing. We are still on unit testing. We will evaluate the connection of the business processes with each other, of the system with each other. We will have now 2 approaches. We will do bottom-up testing and top-down testing or evaluation. Now what is bottom-up testing? Now tell me, unit is the biggest component of system or the smallest component of system?
Smallest.
Smallest.
Smallest. Then what we will do is, we will start from unit, then we will look at the sub components of the system, and then we will look at the system. So this range or this order of verification is called as bottom up approach. Now, if we first look at the system, then we look at the sub components or subsystems, and then if we look at the unit testing, it is called as top down approach. So bottom up approach, top down approach, bottom up approach, top down approach. In integration testing, 3 things you have to remember is these 2 approaches. Then it is done after unit testing, but before system testing, and they are supposed to evaluate the connection between the modules. So that is what you have to do in integration testing. Now, regression testing, it is not a component of integration testing. So we will see it differently. What is regression testing? Now, we have done changes to the business processes. We have
So 1 minute, sir.
Yes.
Integrated testing is 2 unit tested and combined together.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Yes,
See,
okay.
we will not call it as a unit. What we will do is, we will make a list of units in a module. We will verify all the units were in one module, and then we will combine the modules. Instead of saying units, we will say modules. Because the unit is very, very small testing, and in integration testing, we are talking about the entire function or module. Now, in regression testing, we have done changes to the input-output design. We have a new control logic. We have now new data flow paths, new modules. So, n number of changes we are done to the system. Now, what we are supposed to do is we are supposed to check whether those changes have done any changes in the functionalities, whether the processing which was done earlier, whether we are able to achieve it again or not. So we will check the functionality of the system after these changes is done. It should not be the case that the changes have corrupted the system. The changes shouldn't corrupt the system, shouldn't overload the system. How we will verify that? We will use the same data which was used earlier for old system for the new system to see whether it is processing it correctly or not. So that is what we will do in regression testing. Now, how this is different than the earlier test we have done. This regression testing we will do after we change each and every component in the system. Not just now after the system is developed, we will keep on doing this every time we even make a single change in the system. So that is what is regression testing. The earlier testing we will do only once, but this regression testing we will keep on doing after every change in the system. So here remember 4 points. We have added a new module, new data flow paths. We have changed the design of input or output, and we have given a new control logic. We will check the functionality. We will make sure that the changes doesn't corrupt the system, and we will use the same data for old system to verify whether processing is done correctly or not in the new system. Now we will start with system testing. Till now, what did we do? We did unit testing. We saw the categories of unit testing, then classification of unit testing, then what is integration testing and regression testing. Now we will see what is system testing. Here we will combine now all the modules, subsystems, components, and we will do overall testing of system. Here we will do 4 types of testing. What are the 4 types? Recovery testing, security testing, stress testing, and performance testing. Here the 2 common points are stress testing and performance testing. Now tell me, what is stress testing?
Ability to accept more processing at a time.
Okay, it is your ability to perform in an environment where the workload is more than your capabilities. For example, you are doing CA course. The institute knows that the syllabus is too much, but what it is doing is it is trying to do your stress testing. Okay, you can remember that it is giving you workload more than your capabilities. Now, performance testing, again we will see what is the execution time, response time, and other factors. How early it is responding. Now, security testing. We will ensure whether the CIA of data is maintained or not. What is CIA?
Confidentiality, integrity, and accuracy.
Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now tell me, if someone can access my data, which factor is compromised?
Confidentiality.
And if the person can change the data,
Integrity.
Integrity.
and if I am not able to access the data,
Availability.
availability. So we will see whether the data is means whether the CIA of data is being maintained or not in security testing. Then recovery testing. We will see after the system crashes whether it is able to recover within a specified period or not. If there are any problems, whether we are able to troubleshoot them in a small span of time. If it requires more time, whether it finally recovers or not. So that is what we will do in recovery testing. So RSSP, can remember the system testing as PRSS, recovery testing, security testing, stress testing, and performance testing. And now the last testing, final acceptance testing. Now in the policies of the organization, we have some quality standards. We will see whether the system is prepared of that quality or not, whether it is able to satisfy all the requirements or not, whether it can handle all the stress. So that is what we will do in quality assurance testing. We will see whether it is conforming with the quality standards of the organization or not. Then user acceptance testing. Okay, we will continue in a minute. Don't go anywhere.